What's up, guys? It's Eventon here. So first things first, I'm going to be giving away 2 Scope Syndicate skins with this video. So probably about 48 hours after the post of this video, I'll pick 2 winners down in the comments. So please put down your comment, what you like, didn't like, whatever. And more importantly, please put down your in-game name. I can't tell you how many times people have won a Scope Syndicate skin. I reply to them on YouTube, hey, you won, what's your in-game name? And they just never reply. And then I pick someone else, they never reply, and I have quite a few skins that have not been redeemed because a lot of people just haven't replied with their in-game name. So please, down in the comments, put down your in-game name. So first things first, we're going to be giving away the Caracal, which is a nice new bro ship. It's a nice missile boat, very good at screening small ships like frigates and destroyers. And the other skin we're going to be giving away today is going to be the Leshak. So all of you Triglivian fans out there that like flying the Leshak, this is an amazing looking skin. Though the Trig skins have a lot of really cool skins in the game. So you can definitely tell that CCP has been putting a lot of effort and focus into these skins in these ships. So props to the art team. But we're not here for skins, but maybe you are, so be it. We're going to be talking about some of the community fittings. So if you click on the fittings menu on the left side and then under holes and fits, this tab right here, you can go between hardware and like holes and fits. There's your personal ones, your corp fittings, or your alliance fittings, and there's this little tab here that says community fittings. So these are fittings that are submitted by the EVE Online community. To be honest, I have no idea how these get submitted or approved or get put up, anything like that. I'm not sure. It's just people that use them. I have no idea. So some of these fits used to be really bad. Some of them are okay. Some of them I wouldn't really change much at all. Maybe just some few like optional things. But for the most part, these fits are decent. To be honest, it's probably been like a year and a half since I've looked at these community fittings, though. Today I did look at a few of them, and I'm like, yeah, this looks good, but there's a couple small things I would change personally myself. So the first thing we're going to look at is Mifuns. That name sounds familiar. I could have sworn this person ran for CSM like last year or something like that. But anyway, go ahead and take a look at this fit. I actually don't mind this fit. It's pretty much an all or nothing Hecate for the most part. There's kind of one glaring issue for me personally, which is, you put in the weapons. Let's go ahead and overheat this rack. Obviously, you're going to be overheating your Ansel Repper as well. Is that if you're getting into a target, I mean, you got about 44 seconds of cap. And I'm not saying you have to be cap stable to do PvP. I think that's actually a huge, misnomer or a huge misunderstanding about PvP. It's like, oh, you have to be cap stable. It's not PvE. It's totally different for the most part. But even if we do get into our target, we double web them and scram, and so we can cycle or turn off our Microwarpdrive. We still don't have that much time. So this is kind of what I mean by it being an all or nothing kind of fit. Again, I don't mind it, but the only issue I'm seeing here is that if the ship we're encountering has any kind of newt, I'm talking 2 small newts, sometimes some frigates or even some destroyers might run a couple small newts, or a cruiser will run a medium newt. If any of those ships have that, we're pretty much dead because we have no way to regenerate cap, especially since we are using multiple modules that are draining our cap. So again, I don't mind this fit. It's just not the way I would fit a Hecate personally. Again, it seems like a kind of an all or nothing fit. This is probably the 2 ways I would fit my Hecate personally. All I essentially did was swap out one of the mid webs for a compact cap booster, and then down here in the low, I just added another mag stab just for more damage. So if we actually go here, the fit that we had prior was doing about 880 damage or 808 damage. This one does 909 heated if we actually switch to sharpshooter mode. So this one does 909 in sharpshooter mode as well. So of course we lose a little bit of control because we only have 1 web instead of 2. On top of that, it is a compact web, but I mainly did that just so I could actually fit the T2 warp scram, because the other fit didn't have a T2 scram. I think it was a scoped or whatever, which only goes out to 8,750, which isn't a make or break thing, but I just like having that extra scram range just in case. And of course, down here, if we put in our Navy cap boosters, that makes us cap stable. Again, don't need to be cap stable, but this is mostly that if we do run into something with a newt, we can actually stay in the fight and we're not instantly dead. We can actually stay on top of the target, or at least cap boost, and we're like, look, we are way in over our head. Let's go ahead and cap boost, burn away if we can, or find a way to escape and go from there. So overall, I do like this fit a bit better. Obviously, it is pretty much a buffer fit, so there is no way to kind of regenerate health or anything like that. But I think more importantly is that if you do get capped out, you're pretty much instantly dead. But if you do want more buffer, this is another fit. I just basically removed the expanded probe launcher. So if you are hunting, obviously you want the expanded probe launcher with combats. But if not, and you're just doing general PvP out in like low sec or whatever else, and you don't really need like a probe scanner, you can just remove it. You can add a bulkhead for a little bit more durability. And it doesn't seem like it does much, but that extra basically 2k or 2,300 EHP does add up, and it does buy you a bit more time than you think, especially if you are in defense mode. It does buy you a ton of extra time. So yeah, this is the way I would fit it. A little bit different. Not saying that other fit is necessarily wrong. It's just different. Probably skip the strategic cruiser. I don't really fly a lot of T3Cs. I do fly the Loki on like very, very rare occasion. I actually kind of prefer hacks myself, but eventually maybe when I do get higher skills in some of the T3C ships, I'll probably fly them a bit more often. So for now, I think that fit is okay. I don't really have an opinion on it. Procure, I actually do like this fit quite a bit. The only two things I would like maybe change is maybe the lows, and again, it's just purely optional. If you want the yield, you just go double mining laser, or you could obviously go bulkheads just for some extra tank. I mean, I feel like if you're mining in a Procure, you're not really doing it for the huge yields, right? So getting some extra tank isn't necessarily bad. I really like this compact afterburner, the 10MN. I believe you can pretty much cycle this once. Like if you really wanted to get out of a belt, if you just cycle this once, with my skills, it's 7.5 seconds. If you cycle that once and you enter warp, I think you should be able to get into warp pretty much within that 8 or 9 seconds. Because right now it has an align time of 15 seconds, which is a very, very long time, especially if you notice local blowing up with a lot of gankers. At that point, you might as well cycle this once and get off grid in 8 or 9 seconds instead of 15. So, and down here, obviously, the drone skills is just going to be dependent on each person. I will say if you're probably mining out in anywhere other than high sec, maybe having a small amount of a small rack of like ECM drones, so like ECM 300s instead of these hobgoblins, just to buy yourself some more time, because it's not usually that there's a 15 catalysts coming after you like there is in high sec. Usually it's 1 or 2 ships. Sometimes you get caught and you get grabbed. If you can ECM them off, you can either get off grid or at least buy some time for some help to arrive. So that's the only thing I would change, is like maybe this low slot and maybe the drones, but that's about it. Skipping out all the hauler. Actually, we can talk about the hauler super quick. I feel like taking out a hauler like this in the mid slots is fine, but putting it in like rig slots or align time, if someone's going to want to shoot you in the ship, you're dead anyway. The only thing you can do in T1 ships, really, especially if something like the Iteron Mark V, is just be unappealing as possible. Like basically haul like only stuff that's like 80 mil or less, because I feel like if you push 100 mil, that kind of makes you a potential target. I would just get rid of this inertial stabilizer. Align time could maybe save you a little bit of time. I guess it depends. Like if you're only carrying 13,000 M3 worth of stuff, then sure. But if you do need more, obviously just put in more cargo expanders. Kind of surprised there's not more cargo expanders inside the cargo bay. So essentially what I do is figure out how much cargo I need. I put in as many cargo expanders as needed. And I guess the warp core is fine. I guess the line time is fine. Overall, this is okay, I would say. Maybe I would replace that this shield extender to fit another cargo optimization hole, just so I can have more M3. But that's about it. I mean, other than that, it's good enough, but it's not as optimized as I would have it personally. There's a lot of these here. Maybe we'll probably do them for another video. Let me know down in the comments below if you guys actually like these kind of like optimization videos for some of these community fits. So this one from the same person, I think it's Mifuns. This is an ESS fit. So this is out in nullsec when you're trying to hack a ESS bank and you're trying to get money, and people get alerted locally, and so they usually bring in a ship. So the only ships that can go inside of an ESS is a cruiser, battle cruiser, or battleship. So you can't fit frigates or destroyers unless like a battleship blows up and it drops a frigate. That's really the only way in for the most part. So I kind of like this. This is kind of like a bait Vexor fit. You would think it's like blasters and all that stuff, but the fact that he's running 4 medium newts is pretty interesting. Obviously running 2 large shield extenders, running a cap booster, so to kind of maintain your cap, obviously, for running 4 medium newts, and then an afterburner because microwarp drives as well as scrams, don't really do much. Microwarp drives don't work at all inside of the ESS bubble, and then scrams, I mean, technically you're scramming the target, but it's already scrammed inside the bubble, so it doesn't really do much. Other than that, I think the fit's okay. I do notice that there is the meta stuff down here in the lows again, because you know we're probably appealing to people that don't have super high skills for the most part, and running ancillary current routers, all that kind of stuff. So I think the fit is okay. Me personally, and I realize this fit is kind of tight, so it's probably not fully appealed to new bros, but again, you can always take out one of these bulkheads and put in a rig slot that increases the power grid, or you can meta out some of these Webifiers, or meta, or like this one. I actually have a T2 Newt up here. You can make that compact. So I would say that the big changes I did, or I say the big issue with this one personally, is that there's no webs. Even then, you can sit on top of the warp in point and put a full thing of newts on them. I mean, unless you can one-shot their capacitor with just this, which is very, very unlikely, they're just going to burn away from you or just web you. If they have a web and you don't, they're just always gaining distance, and there's a certain point where you just can't reach them anymore, and neither can your newts. So one other small thing I noticed down here in the drones is the guards. So at first I kind of like the idea of like getting into the grid, kind of like going like 15-20 kilometers away, dropping guards, and like going back to the warping point and like starting the hack, until I started realizing like, all right, what if the person starts burning away and now they're outside of your guard's range? I guess you can disconnect from them and like put out hammerheads, but at that point I'd rather just have normal drones, or just like hammerheads or whatever, to just do more damage. So it's just taking up precious space inside of our drone cargo hold, especially since this is going to be a bait fit. So the main differences I did with here is the double webs in the mid. So even if they do have a web, we can stay on top of them because we have one more web up on them for the most part. And then keeping that medium, I forgot to actually save the cap boosters in here. And I always run Navy cap boosters. Does it cost quite a bit more? Yes. But the fact that you can fit more in your cargo, and especially since you're running a cap heavy fit, it's always, I pretty much always go with Navy cap boosters. Does it cost a few extra million? Sure. But I'd rather spend the extra couple million than just pretty much dying because I ran out of cap boosters. Up here in the highs, so he was running scoped newts. I'm actually running compacts to just save again on that power grid as well as CPU. And that's because we're actually running two webs. So we're actually going to have an easier time staying on top of our target. So getting an extra 2 kilometers on our newts isn't going to matter that much because we're going to be getting super close. And then I put in a T2 medium newt just because I had the extra space on the power grid. So again, if you don't have the power grid to do it, just keep it all compact, that's fine. But because I had an extra 42 power grid, or like 43 power grid, I just T2'd the newt, because with T2 newt actually newt's harder than any of the meta ones. I did full bulkheads as well as down here just for, you know, some buffer. It does reduce down our cargo capacity, so we are getting less cap boosters, but if a fight is lasting that long, we're probably not going to win anyway. Help's going to arrive, we're going to get killed by the person's friends, especially if it's like 1v1, but then it's only a matter of time before that person shows up to help. Like if it's legitimately going to take us that long to kill somebody, they're going to have friends show up and kill us anyway. I would say probably the most interesting thing with this fit is probably just the drones. I just gave different options. I'm not saying you should run this exact fleet of drones. This is just something random. So it's like running 5 hammerheads, basically running 2 fleets of 5 hammerheads, and like maybe running 1 fleet of hornets initially is probably, you know, pretty smart. At least personally, maybe I would start like when someone warps into the grid, I would start out with hornets and make sure they just can't lock me. Just have that RNG chance that they just cannot lock me for the first few seconds. So if your hornets can get 1, 2, or even if you're extremely lucky, like 3 jams off within the first like 20 seconds of the fight, and you can basically cycle these twice before they can even lock you once or twice, I mean, that gives you a huge advantage. And then once you realize they're all neuted out, obviously you go down to probably 1, like maybe 2 newts, which makes you a bit more cap stable. And then you can recall the hornets and put out your hammerheads. You can also, if you feel more comfortable, you can run like 3 faction like heavy drones, so that way they have like huge HP buffers, so in case they do start focusing them, or if they do start smart bombing and you like notice a bit later, they can actually survive as well. Obviously T2 ogres do the most damage. I mean, if you want the highest damage possible, you typically run 2 ogres, 2 hammerheads, and like 1 not hornet, but the hobgoblin. That gives you the most damage possible, but now you're kind of juggling a lot of different drone types, which could be a headache for some people. I know this isn't part of the Newt fit, but if you guys are running ESS grids with cheap like T1 ships, or if you guys do run big fleets, I really suggest this fit. I've done it a couple times myself, but I really need to convince my court mates to join me on this, which is a Vexor that does over 1,000 damage. Obviously, this is an all or nothing type fit, but it does have a web for you to stay on top of your targets, has the afterburner, has a decent amount of buffer. But with running 2 T2 ogres, 2 hammerheads, and a hobgoblin, plus heating your neutron blasters, you're doing well over 1,000 DPS in a 40 million ISK ship. So if you can get 5-10 other friends with you and run ESS grids, you can really start shredding marauders in this thing quite easily. And it's actually a ton of fun. So I know this one was kind of off topic, but I just wanted to mention that I do have like a Vexor fit for ESS, and if you do have a large group of friends, this fit is a ton of fun. Obviously, it is high skill cap because you are running, the drones. It doesn't matter what you run, as long as you're just doing damage. But obviously, the fit is very tight. So I will be putting all my fits that I talked about today down in the descriptions below. So if you guys have any questions or comments, let me know. And of course, please put in your in-game name down in the comments so you guys have a chance to win that Scope Syndication skin. That's pretty much it. Hope you guys take care, and I'll catch you guys next time.